This is who you can enjoy teeing it up this week in Thailand. Former world number one Lydia Ko rounding out into some nice form already this season. Patty is back to defend her title, and Gino Titakun as well. Lilia Vu, Amy Yang and Ronnie Yin. So for more on this week, we are joined live out there in Thailand at 4:30 in the morning by our LPGA insider Tom Abbott. Tom, really good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us because the tour is heading to Asia beginning this week. What are your thoughts on the LPGA Tour? And looking at that schedule, how they've tried to tweak it to try and help with a bit more momentum at the start of the year.
Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Anna from Thailand. The LPGA started the season this year slightly later. They moved the schedule back 1 week. So the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions kind of spilled into the beginning of February. That gave the players a little bit longer in the off-season. Played a couple of events in America, as you mentioned, and then over to Asia for this 3-week swing, which is a long-running trend for the LPGA Tour. They've been doing this for a long time. The Honda LPGA Thailand goes back to 2006. There's a good field here. And then next week to the HSBC Women's World Championship in Singapore, where there's a lot of focus next week in Singapore. And then, of course, to China as well. And then back to the US. With the event in Palos Verdes going away, there's more of a break after China before resuming in Phoenix. So although that's disappointing for the tour not to have that week, it does mean that players that are playing these 3 weeks in Asia have more of a break before they head back to competition in America.
Yeah, this year, as we know, Tom, it's a special year for the LPGA, celebrating their 75th anniversary. One of the big talking points has been who is going to be the next leader of the LPGA. They're still in search of their next commissioner. What updates have you heard, if any, as to where they are at in the search process?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Anna, it's still the beginning of the search process, and we're hearing that we may not have a commissioner in place until May, perhaps even later, depending on that person's circumstance in their current position. Liz Moore is taking over as the interim commissioner. She's been with the LPGA Tour for a long time. She's the chief legal counsel, and she seems to be doing a very good job. I mean, we met with her a few weeks ago. She came to our meeting in the television compound that we have every week. We had a good discussion with her. She obviously is very experienced. And at the moment, there's a lot of positivity about the job that she is doing as the interim commissioner. We don't know whether she is a strong candidate to take the role full time. We'll have to see. But at the moment, it's a case of looking at candidates all around the world, continuing this search for the LPGA Tour. They have a search committee in place, which includes a number of players. And so I think over the next several months, we will begin to hear some information. But it is going to be a while before that new leader, whoever it is in place.
Yeah, and it's incredibly important that they get the right person in that position as well at this point of the LPGA. Tom, another hot topic right now, pace of play. Now, the LPGA have actually put a new policy in place, which includes lowered time thresholds for stroke penalties. It starts, I think it starts in March, around that time. You're out there every week on the LPGA. Realistically, how much of a problem is pace of play on the women's tour?
Yeah, I mean, I think pace of play is an issue across the game of golf. It's a hot topic right now. The LPGA Tour has taken this topic seriously. I think there were 9 players last year that had stroke penalties assessed because of slow play. There are serial offenders that all of the players on the tour know about. And I think this policy is a way for the LPGA to continue being serious about their pace of play policy. If the new policy, which comes into play for the Ford Championship in March, as you mentioned, is not going to be used during this Asia swing, but obviously it's been unveiled, so players will know the situation. But if that policy was in place last year, there will be far more players receiving stroke penalties than there were in the past. And that is, I think, what really matters to the players. Losing shots, obviously they don't want to lose money with fines, but losing shots seems far more important. So that's going to be more of an emphasis for the LPGA Tour. And this new policy does give the rules officials a little bit of scope. There is one line in there to identify slow players and time them if they feel like they're out of position on the course and causing the play to slow down. So the rules officials do have quite a lot of power with this new pace of play policy. And I think there is going to be a lot of pressure on those rules officials to keep this policy moving and to have a lot of emphasis on that slow play, which they do today. I think that it would be good for the LPGA Tour to maybe increase the number of rules officials to help them out there to keep a track of that pace of play, because it's a grueling job being a rules official on the LPGA Tour, being there all day, especially when there are delays. And keeping a track on pace of play is going to be something that we're going to be watching this year when that policy comes into place.
You're right. It's a universal issue in the game, but it's really good to see the LPGA, trying to take control of the situation, and perhaps the PGA Tour can sort of follow suit in that world. Another thing I want to touch on with you, Tom, is Lydia Ko. Now, she's sort of followed Nelly Korda's footsteps a little bit. She's gone from Hall of Famer, Olympic gold medalist. She's now a fashion icon. She's on the front cover of Vogue Career this month, Tom. How remarkable and impressive is it that someone like Lydia Ko, who doesn't particularly like the spotlight, a little bit like Nelly Korda, is going that next step to transcend the game of women's golf and become a global icon, which she is so valid to be. But this is incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I mean, she's a big star all over the globe, and I think this is fully deserving for Lydia Ko. I have all the time in the world for her and what she has done in the game of golf, both on and off the golf course. She carries herself so well. She's a tremendous ambassador for women's sports, for sports in general, for the game of golf. And we don't know how long she is going to be playing on the LPGA Tour. She's talked about retiring within the next several years when she turns 30. She still has that goal to win a couple of more majors and clinch the career Grand Slam. I think that's very much on her mind for this 2025 season. So I'm really happy to see her getting some recognition on a more mainstream level on the cover of Vogue, which is a big deal. I know she'll be so pleased with that, and I think she'll gain more fans around the globe because of that, which she fully deserves, and hopefully that brings some more interest to the LPGA Tour over the course of the season.
Yeah, exactly. She is a queen, Lydia Ko. There is no other word to describe her. Tom Abbott, thank you very much. If the jet lag isn't too bad, I hope you can get some more sleep, but we appreciate your time and we look forward to hearing you out there on the coverage this week. We'll see you very soon.